women in the terms of the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment. As we've seen, Patricia Arquette recently lobbied, the Congress and the Senate for Equal Means Equal, her documentary that's coming out with
Yes, yeah. She worked with Carolyn Malone. Yes, yeah.
And so one of the challenges we have locally, or as you kind of interpreting that Lilly Live Better Act, and that it doesn't mean that a woman is not discriminated still because of her gender, or that equal pay is not granted because of this act. So for me, the 14th Amendment would have to be modified or amended to then ratify the ERA in order to make the changes to include discrimination and pay, for gender, and include women in the Constitution. And so that's some of the things that we try to do locally through our local House of Representatives, not local, but House of Representatives here. And we're having trouble getting those last 15 states to ratify the ERA because they want to tie abortion, reproductive health care, and other issues to say, in a sense, it opens up the discussion and it talks even for maternity leave benefits.
Well, that honestly, I'll be very, very honest with you. It's very tough looking at 15 states. That's, that's like Sisyphus, But in terms of the legislation, and I will, we can pass paycheck fairness. We have done it. If we had those 2 votes in the Senate, it would be the president would have signed the legislation. The president has done some very good things in looking at, taking a look at contractors and saying people, these companies that get a federal contract no longer deal with the gag order. They lift that prohibition. So he has been trying to do some things around the edges. But if we can pass the legislation, then you do bring this, up. Paid sick days. You look at what's happening in my state of Connecticut, and again, I don't know about here, we passed paid sick days. And the legislation that I introduced with that, I introduced it with Senator Kennedy in 2005. That's why I'm so excited about this time for all of us. And the paid family and medical leave with Senator Gillibrand just about 3 years ago. So these are real. This is viable. When you've got so many states and cities passing paid sick days, New Hampshire, the legislation there passed a paycheck fairness. I was in New Hampshire Friday and Saturday for Hillary, so I understand moving in a direction with the ERA and so forth, but I will tell you that we can move, and we can move now with these various pieces of legislation, and our folks in the State House can talk about these things as well as what we can do.
It almost seems bizarre that women today are talking about the equity pay in 2016. I hear young folks that I was out there doing voter registration, and they were like, what is that? Well, why is that? It doesn't make sense. So when you say
but that's an education.
It is,
and you have to talk to younger women about this because that has all to do with retirement.
It does.
It is all connected. It is all connected, and they don't get it. So that's why we need to, draw this out. And you're doing that in your literature. You're talking about what she is. It says you can't be in 2016 and talking about that. Well, women don't sometimes. They choose to be in professions that pay them less. Yeah, sure, women want to be paid less money. How ridiculous is that? You want to be paid for it, but it's all about how we value the work. That is what it's about, the respect for the work that women do. And it's not only sexual assault or sexual predator, that's like your opponent here who, she moved in this area here. But what about all the other ways that women are being held back? Because when I tell you that the economics for women, and particularly women who are single, widowed, divorced, etc., are dire. They are dire. And that's why we've been able to gain traction on these things. And instead of them being viewed as fringe, they are now at the center of our public